Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of light spinning from their mouths. Stop looking, listen for a little while. Attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drill. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow bathing in your blood. It's never enough. But no one wants to talk about it. It's safer not to talk about it. I cut my strings, don't go bowing to the master. I tried to run, but they only came faster. Now I stand my ground. I ain't backing down. Silver bullets in my pistol in my holster. My will is strengthened and my confidence is bolstered. Don't test my resolve. Don't test my resolve.
That's true. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Sunday, August the 13th, 2023. We are here live coming to you from Carter County, Tennessee at the Iron Mountain. My name is Cliff. This is Tim and Dustin. And what's up, everybody?
Hey.
We were just kind of shooting the shit while the song played. I hope y'all were having a good night tonight.
Yeah, there's some dead turds over here. We were really shooting them. They're trying to attack us.
You gotta watch out. Sometimes you think Dustin is making puns, but other times he's being absolutely literal. So, yeah,
hopefully it don't start stinking too bad.
It does. I mean,
would a dead one smell worse than a live one? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, almost everything else does smell worse dead.
I don't know. Have you seen some of the locals around here? Maybe about
I've been some of the local.
I was one of the locals around here today. I worked on my deck in the sun all day, and
No, you don't have like 3 months sink in.
no,
tank.
that's true. No, don't.
There's a difference.
The rotten salt smell.
Yeah.
I was starting to get it, but not quite 3 months worth, where it soaks into your clothes and you're wearing the same clothes for 3 months. Bad stuff. Bad stuff.
I would describe, and I don't want to start knocking on our area specifically, because I've smelt some awful odors everywhere I've been in the world. A particular odor that I've only found here in our particular part of the world is what I would call the copper urine smell, which it smells sort of like cats and a big roll of pennies rolled into one.
Yeah. I know that. Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is. I think maybe it's people who roll lots of pennies and have tons of cats. I don't know.
Maybe they absorb the copper, or maybe it's just where so many folks are stealing copper pipes and copper plumbing to take it for liquor money or meth money.
Those people usually don't have that smell. They usually just smell like straight trash. Usually copper urine is like on like older people. They're like,
Okay.
like, you know, like certain groups of old people smell like mothballs, or they smell old. But it's just because that's the particular kind of stuff that they collected, and that stuff has a smell to it, like oak furniture and lacquer and stuff and paper.
Well, I remember my great grandmother's house, her apartment always smelled like soup. And then, like my neighbors,
That's okay.
my neighbors across the way from me when I grew up, from my mom's house, their house always smelled like soup, and that became like the old person smell to me. It was like if you're an old person, your house smells like soup. Not just food, just soup, like really salty soup, like onion soup or something. It just has the odor of.
Maybe they just cook a lot of onions and it's just baked into the drywall.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't mind food.
Onions and Tahoes.
I think the onions might overpower the Tahoe.
My great grandmother, I think she smoked Misty Lights or something like that.
Misty Light 120.
She smoked those really long, skinny cigarettes.
Virginia Slim.
That might have been it. Yeah.
They made an ultra thin.
Actually, I think it was Misty. That
They
she
made an
smoked.
ultra thin 120. I swear, it looked like a pencil. They were so thick.
Yeah, but my great grandmother, she always smoked outside. Now my grandmother, she smoked Marlboro Lights 100s, and she smoked inside.
One of my friend's mom smoked those Virginia Slim menthol 120 ultra lights, and you'd watch her take a drag off of it, and every drag would like take the cigarette down like 3 inches.
Yeah. I never got the appeal of those though. What is the appeal? I guess is it just more sexy and ladylike to have a slim cigarette?
I honestly, I don't know. I guess as someone who's never been an avid cigarette smoker or a nicotinist, I've never experimented with a lot of cigarettes. The brief time that I did smoke, it was whatever I could get, usually a Camel, because
Camel
that's what
Crush.
It was usually Camel because that's what people at Unica had, was either Camel or Marlboro Reds. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, I don't know. It's a clove. Like, it was weird when you're sitting there smoking something like a Roman candle shoots out the end of it. But
For your cigarette cult, what will you be using?
preferably a basil herb mix.
No tobacco?
No. I mean, you can smoke whatever you want to, but
That's
as
just
I'm
not
not
the free
a...
ones that you're giving out?
Oh, I'll
Because I
give
feel
out
like you're
a-
going to have a lot more members join for tobacco cigarettes.
Yeah, I was speaking of myself.
Oh, okay.
Anybody who wants to come into the Sig Cult, preferably it'll be something really weird so we can be all hipster about it. So possibly a Doral or a Pall Mall would be, or
I've not
maybe
seen a
Pyramid.
Doral in a long time.
I was like, wow.
You know, I've not seen a Doral. I've not seen a basic
cigarette.
A basic.
Base.
I've not seen a GPC in a long time. Good price cigarette. I don't know what that really
Merit.
stands for, but that's true. I've not seen a Merit in a long time either.
I want off-brand. preferably.
Pyramid, though, I've not
Different.
seen that either. No, those were always the ones, the obscure brands when I worked at the grocery store that we'd have to stock in. We pretty much named them all. I think people smoked a lot of Basic, though. Basic was popular.
Yeah, it was. Then occasionally it's like when you had the people that were real hard up for money and they went the step below Tahoe and went Wild Horse.
I don't remember Wild Horse.
They were even cheaper than Tahoe.
Tahoes were pretty dang bad,
There
though.
was one called a Durango and a Silver Bullet I saw on the side of a gas station. It was like 2 for $4 or something at one point in time, so they had to be real. And this was not too long ago. So I
Yeah.
know it was like
Oh, yeah.
it has to be like
$2.
smoking insulation.
Yeah, no kidding. I like to smoke the Winstons. They're just tobacco and water, except for the stupid fire retardant paper that the Obama
you just roll
administration
your
made.
own?
I could, but they suck. Oh, they suck. You can't get a good. No, you can't get a good tobacco. It's like they're all really pipe tobacco tasting, and they're just not very good. It makes it taste like a Tahoe. Pretty much any roll your own I've ever tried tastes like a Tahoe, which is just awful. But the funny thing about those papers is I was at work and I was talking to. I don't like smoking in my work truck. It smells really bad. And I was standing out. I was looking for an address, and I pulled over and I was talking to a neighbor who was helping me find the address. And I got out and I smoked a cigarette, and he told me where to find it. And I put the cigarette out, and I didn't want to throw it in the in the yard or the trash or anything like that. So I stuck it in the ashtray of the truck, put out, and drove up to the top of the hill where I was working. And it took me 5 minutes to get up the top. Got out, went into the job site, checked it out for a minute, came back out, and the cigarette had reignited itself in the ashtray.
Oh, no.
Smoked out the whole cab. Oh, God, it smelled awful. It would have been way better if I'd just smoked the cigarette in the cab than that. And so the fireproof paper did not work.
It's weird. It's like it'll go out if you're trying to smoke it, but if you set it in the ashtray, it'll burn all the way down.
Yeah.
It's like, what was the point? They were supposed to do that to prevent that.
Exactly.
It would prevent, people passing out cigarettes and burning their house down.
I think that was I don't think they really did. I think they just wanted us to wanted to put something bad on the cigarette paper. If cigarettes aren't killing enough people, we need to put something bad on the paper.
Put more chemicals.
I think I've changed my mind
to it.
I think cheap as we can get for Sig Cult, then mix for the upper elite kind of bougie people.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
want that
The inner circle gets American circle.
that
American
19% nicotine is, and then above that,
American Spirit.
99% vapes at that point where you just.
What's up, Alvin? He says, is it live or is it Memorex? Oh, yeah, no moose today. Yeah, I guess we promised moose, and I meant to mention that. No moose today. It did not work out for moose to be here. Moose had a late night, wasn't able to join us at the time that we were able, but we're going to get it back in. So we are live. Glad to have you with us. Stephen Lee used to smoke Merritt's. Benson and Hedges. Yes. The Resi. Thank you. I forgot all about Benson and Hedges. 100s.
Like an amp brand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. They used to have really good magazine ads, the Benson and Hedges ads. They were the classy cigarette kind of trying to be. What's up, Anna? Smoke Pall Mall Blue 100s, very close to Marlboro Light 100s, slightly cheaper. Yeah, the Pall Malls are very close to the Marlboros.
Is it anywhere else in the country, or is it just old people around here that call them pale males?
Nah. Yeah, I think it's just around here.
I was like, there's nothing in there that enunciates.
Pale male, that's me.
Here's my theory on why they call them pale male. I wonder if they think that it's PAILMAIL and not PALLMAIL.
It's clearly PAL on the box, though.
I mean,
I used to sell them at the Krusty Watts, the AutoZone or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've had that question before.
And people would call it Pall Mall there.
Why they would call it pale male? Because it does not. And there is a Pall Mall, Tennessee.
Most people call
in
them
Fentress
Pall
County.
Mall.
What's up there, Sean? Have you made it down to Fentress County yet? Are you living in Pall Mall, Tennessee, or Pale Male, Tennessee?
Are you smoking Pall Mall? Down in Pall Mall?
That would just be kind of cool, just to get smoke a cigarette by.
Yeah,
look, it's
clear. It's clearly capital L's.
I
Yeah.
remember. I'm like, it's a capital L.
I wonder if they have them all out in Pall Mall.
Pale Male. I don't know. Maybe somebody had heard the term pale male before, and they just
Can they
assumed
see
that
this?
was. Now they can.
Is this This is not a snazzy brand of cigarette, but it is a snazzy look, isn't it? Looks
They got
kinda
the
like a pack of cards.
Vini Vidi Vici thing right here. It says what it says on the packs.
It says what?
It says Vini Vidi Vici.
What's that mean?
It's Latin for we came, we saw, we conquered.
Okay, that's arrogant for a cigarette company.
Yeah. Well, I wonder how
Is
that
it like the remnants of the East Indian Dutch trading company or whatever?
Maybe. Let's
like a
just
snazzy
find out.
brand of
Let's
cigarette.
look at tobaccofandom.com.
It's London.
It's an R.J. Reynolds cigarette brand named after the famous London street with the same name. Maybe they call it Pale Male. British American Tobacco in multiple locations. It's their top-selling brand worldwide.
And Newport's being their second position.
Wow.
I thought Newports would outsell those, but I guess, like I said, I don't buy cigarettes as a non-nicotinist.
Pall Mall's been around since 1899.
I like that word.
The Black Butler company to appeal to the rich upper class. In 1907, Pall Mall was acquired by American Tobacco.
Have you seen the anime Black Butler?
I have not.
Yeah. Okay.
But 1960, it became the best-selling cigarette on the American market. and then was phased out after sales started to dwindle. But in 1994, Brown and Williamson Tobacco Company brought back Lucky Strike and Pall Mall.
Oh, Lucky Strike.
Ah,
I always thought Lucky Strike was like
I didn't know it. I didn't. It is
the higher end.
No, they're nasty.
I'm saying they're like not cheap though.
They're I don't know. They're like $4 or $5 a pack. It's like mid grade.
But they don't have the icky filter.
They don't.
You can get them with the filter.
Why?
Well, they're.
Why would you?
What about Chesterfields? Chesterfields were the ones I remember people smoking Camel non-filters and Chesterfield non-filters. Those Camel non-filters are gross. Now, I've gotten those before because I thought I was going to be a tough guy. And it's not that they don't have a filter. It's just that the tobacco in them is gross. It's not good tasting tobacco.
There were those rare Camels, the Camel Reds. But Camel was spelled with a K.
Alvin says they call it pale mail everywhere.
Why?
Anna says she's always heard and said Pall Mall. Says she's never heard Pale Mail. Alvin says Pall Malls, Kent's, Marlboros, Winston were the working man brand historically. My Stephen Lee grandparents smoked a Pall Mall non-filter, Lucky Strikes and Salem's. I forgot about Salem's. I wonder if they still make Salem's because Winston makes a menthol now.
They were the weird green pack.
Yeah. So with Winston making a menthol, I wonder does Salem still exist? I smoked Salem's for a time. I smoked nicotine or menthol for probably 13 years. I smoked menthol for a long time.
I don't smoke at all. It's just whenever I was joining the workforce, I worked in a gas station.
I used to
So I
smell
learned
them a
all
lot.
this crap.
That's how I learned them. And then every girl I ever hung around with or dated up until I met my wife smoked because county.
If she smokes, she pokes.
And I've been in bands my whole life, so almost all my friends have had
Cools.
smoked. So
Yeah, Cools are pretty gross. I was a menthol guy, but Cools are pretty
Oh
gross.
yeah, I forgot about
Cools, I always like to joke that they tasted like if you you smoked a menthol styrofoam cooler. And that's where they get the flavor because it's just awful. But no, we did mention Cool. No. I don't remember who owns Cools.
wouldn't be funny if it was Kool-Aid.
Tobacco in a Folgers coffee can. I've done some wacky tobacco in a Coke can, but never tobacco in a Folgers coffee can. In the government study, they'd send you 2 packs a week for free. Dang. What kind did they send you, Stephen Lee? Did they send you, one particular kind, or these?
It was like just the American flag on it or something.
Yeah,
US
government
things.
smoke like the government cheese. You ever get the government cheese?
Oh,
I've seen it.
Apparently, the government, has these giant. Okay, a lot of these giant underground warehouses in cities that are like people think they're the deep underground military bases. They're actually government cheese storage facilities. The government has giant cheese storage facilities all over the country.
And it's not good. If you've ever had MRE cheese, it's horrible.
Well, the government cheese I had reminded me kind of Velveeta.
It's like crusty though. It's gritty.
It's like crusty Velveeta.
That you
It's like
dip
if
your
you-
pretzels in and those little.
You dropped your loaf of
Unmarked.
Velveeta out in the sandbox and picked up and wiped it off, but then mushed it up to make sure no one noticed it and fed it to people. That's what it tastes like.
I can see that.
Yeah. it's
Did
gritty.
it say Stephen Lee? Did it say grade A cigarettes?
Peanut butter that was in MREs was pretty bad.
Chunky peanut butter feels like a prank to me. Like they're like, oh, they're going to give them peanut butter. Don't tell them it's not finished. And you bite into it. It's like,
Dude, that's why I want my peanut butter. I don't want smooth peanut butter.
Man, smooth
I wish they
peanut
made.
butter.
I wish
Don't
they
serve it to me.
No, they make a good Reese cup with smooth peanut butter, but I would love to have a crunchy Reese's cup. I bet they make them.
Don't do that to me. Don't make me.
A and B on the packs. They send a questionnaire with them. Now they send you money. They still send you money for it, huh?
I have some.
How long ago was that?
Peanut butter and crunch is an issue to me, and I also will not mess with ham and cheese mixed together. If you want to know the demon combination, you mix that ham, cheese, and some form of pita bread with it. And all of a sudden, just the texture alone will cause me to vomit out my ears.
Damn.
Huh.
Sorry, I just gave up my weakness if the government wants to come. But yeah, it's a ham and cheese pita.
We got you.
Don't even need condiments. There's just something about it. I can't do it.
25
All three
years
of those
ago.
things-
Those three things.
all three things
specifically.
separately, or can you do them? Or
Yep.
is it okay separately?
Yep, separately I can eat a pita. I can eat some ham. I like cheese, but for some reason when you mix ham, cheese, pita.
Okay, I could definitely see, depending on the type of cheese and if the ham and cheese has been
Cheddar.
together for a while, and it gets kind of that weird.
Like it's been kept inside of a cooler all day.
Yeah, and it almost gets where the cheese starts to like congeal onto the meat,
Yeah.
and then it gets real tacky. Yeah, I can.
I couldn't do
understand.
it warm or cold. It's just I don't know. That's just the magic awfulness. It's right next to dog turd. I'd eat it before I did the dog turd, strictly for nutrition purposes. But it's right next to dog turd.
The Resi says a Folgers can recycled for a spit can with a good fitting lid. Her old grandpa used to keep it next to his recliner. Good days watching the 700 Club and Lawrence Welk late night together. Well, that's cool. Yeah, okay, so you meant a spit can for chewing tobacco. Okay, gotcha. I thought you meant, I thought you were...
Smoking.
I thought it was something about you were smoking your tobacco out of a coffee can. I was confused there. That makes more sense now. Using it for a spittoon, that makes a lot more
I
sense.
think there's any hardcore nicotinists, tobaccoists out there that use like bong setups.
Yeah, there are people who smoke hookah tobacco, so I would
that would
say
be the
there
same
are.
thing. Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
say there are.
because-
And that most definitely predates the bong.
Yeah. And there are lots
Yeah.
of varieties of tobacco you can smoke that are supposed to be like, uplifting quality, relaxing quality. I've never gone to a hookah lounge, but
And then
I-
that's supposed to be the appeal of it.
let's go get a hookah. We're gonna have a Iron Mountain Hour hookah episode.
Do they have an oxygen bar around here anymore?
I don't think so.
Those were the
bars,
things. Those were the oxygen bars were a thing about 15 years ago. They got popular in like the big cities and stuff, and then they
Yes.
never really caught on here.
I'm trying to think of
Because
actual.
we have real air here.
You think so?
Because it's like, when you get in the cities and you get they're just around all that smog and pollution, so
Yeah.
you go and you get actual good
Holy
oxygen
shit.
from there.
This
And
is
then
what it's like to
your body
breathe?
gets oxygenated properly.
Yeah.
You're like,
I was thinking of it wrong. That does make sense. I was thinking of it from more like an elevation perspective, because like you go at like.
I could also say if you went, if you went to Denver or something where it's, a
They
mile
sell the
up.
canisters for people that are hiking and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But honestly, we're already at like 3,000 feet. So
Yeah.
I didn't get bothered out there until you get up to about 10,000, and then
Shit, if you
can't
go up
really
to
walk
Roan
too
Mountain,
fast.
you're like,
I mean, if you're at the very
Close to
top of the
11,000.
round ball, and not the round ball, the grassy round is 6,800 feet.
Yep.
Is it?
So I mean, it's
The town of Roan Mountain's like 6,000, I think, or
no, it's
no, it's about 5,000, and it's a little under a mile.
Well, I can tell you get pretty short-winded when you get up. There's a place called I think it's Cripple Creek, and it's 14,000.
Anna hasn't bonged
And,
tobacco.
What?
Anna hasn't bonged tobacco. That's how we
Bong
get.
some tobacco.
That's how we get you in
Yeah.
the cigarette cult, right? Bong some tobacco.
The membership ritual to get into it. You got a gravity bong, tobacco, and then once you get yourself up off the floor, we'll initiate you, because that's gonna knock you out.
You'll definitely have some visions.
I don't know, man. I can imagine
X-ray
that.
visions. No, I can't either.
You wake up feeling like you're on Adderall because you just got hit with so much nicotine,
Yeah.
and you immediately start like having the need to do journalism.
Yeah, I found Tucker Carlson on nicotine. We were
yeah.
talking about it.
I don't necessarily disagree with him on productivity. I just disagree with him on other things.
Let's see here.
Gyms during COVID, they hate tobacco, and it's not because it causes cancer. They don't care
Yeah,
about
they don't
your
care
health.
about your health.
They
That much is
closed
true.
the gyms during COVID. Anyone who closed a gym during a pandemic that killed people who were fat clearly doesn't care about your health at all. They hate nicotine. They love THC.
Why can't
They're
we love
promoting
both?
weed to your children, but they're not letting you use tobacco or even non-tobacco nicotine delivery devices, which don't cause cancer. Why do they hate nicotine? Because nicotine frees your mind, and THC
Frees your
makes you
mind,
compliant
man.
and passive. That's why they hate it. It's a real threat to them.
This guy's just out of his mind. It's a very Tucker way of doing it.
This guy's out of his
'cause he's
mind.
like, the nicotine doesn't. It's the smoke
wonder what
causes
these guys
cancer, not
call
the
it.
nicotine. And it's elitism.
Okay, that was a stupid take.
Yeah, it was.
It's called Tucker Doesn't Smoke Weed. We'll justify our own behaviors. He obviously likes cigarettes. I think it's a personality thing. Like,
I think he dips, but
Well, I think it's a personality thing because nicotine for certain people gives them that edge. Like he's clearly, "Arr," And that's the way nicotine makes me feel, which is
Yeah.
why I don't use it. I'm already geared to the nine, man. When I have like cigarettes in my system, for example, one of the last times I worked night stock, one of the guys, I was really just mad and stressed out and stuff. And there was a guy out there smoking a cigarette. I just took like 2 drags off of it just for the hell of it. I hadn't done it in years. Dude, I had the spins. The spins. I felt like I'd taken 3 shots of moonshine. I was like, "Ugh." But I did feel like I needed to stock groceries really fast. And that's not a feeling I like.
The Resi says in Los Angeles they used to sell cigs dipped in a certain animal drink that our neighbor really liked. When the cops came around for him, they always came with at least 5. That reminds me, have you seen the movie Outside Providence?
No.
Okay, there's a scene in it where
What's going on with this animal track is?
there's a scene with it where the main character, he says, this weed is really good, but on top of that, my buddy Drugs, he dips it in insecticide and soaks it in it that lets it dry, which is a pretty good high on its own. And his girlfriend's like, "You've smoked insecticide on its own?" He's like, "What am I gonna smoke, a deadly poison?" It's smoking with weed dipped in it anyway. But
Ketamine.
ketamine.
That's what they're talking
ketamine.
about. Ketamine was originally used as a horse tranquilizer.
It was.
Thank you.
Now they're using it for like mental health and stuff.
Yeah,
for,
there's
for
a
humans.
ketamine clinic somewhere nearby. I don't know.
They gave it to my daughter in the ER when she was 18 months old. She fell. She was running with her bottle and she fell and it split her lip open, and she had to get stitches. And they didn't. She was too young for her to really put her under, but they didn't want to, not do anything for her. So they gave her some ketamine while they stitched her up. God, it was awful watching her. Yeah. Scary.
Worse than ketamine.
Starts with a P and ends with a P with a C in the middle.
Worse than ketamine.
Yeah, I bet it did take a bunch of cops to pull him down.
Have you seen the hold on a sec. I'm about to bring up. I gotta go back. Did they give your daughter ketamine to like put her under?
Not to put her under, just to like
a general aesthetic.
just basically so she could lay there and they could sew her up. Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah. She was not completely out, but she was like in the twilight zone. Yeah, it was kind of scary, because her being so little and seeing her like out on another plane.
Well, ketamine in lower doses, it makes sense. Like it's a tranquilizer. It's the higher doses where it sends you into full psychopathy and hallucinations. But PCP,
It'll send you into that on the low dose.
yeah, well, it's a friggin' delirium is why. And I'm just wondering, like PCP is one of those drugs where it seems like after I went back and especially when I was doing like psychology, like most drugs were given a bad name by a couple of dumb stories. Like they made it seem like LSD was going to make you jump out of the window, and it was one college student in the history of all the LSD use that really was almost nobody got hurt. I mean, alcohol kills like 3 people every weekend, but meanwhile, one college kid thinks he's a bird. We're getting rid of LSD, but like, meanwhile, you tick up through here. Oh, it turns out weed's not a big deal. It turns out cocaine's apparently not that I've never had. To be honest, I've never even had touched cocaine before. Apparently, it's not killing too many people. But when you get down to like
As long as
PCP,
you're not one of those people that uses enough to rot your cartilage.
well, yeah, like if you're like an Artie Lang or you're one of the crack cocaine abusers or something, I'm saying like most people, when you find out that the drug wasn't really the problem, it was the addictive personality.
Right.
And there's always PCP floating there. It's like the one drug that everybody's like, oh no, I'll take PCP and I cut my own dick off. I always wondered about PCP. That's a true story. There's a rapper I can show you.
That's what the Resi was just telling us about. It says some rapper cut his dinky off doing PCP.
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering. Like, why do people still try PCP when that's the one drug that seems to make you want to?
Have you not seen Friday? Have you not seen?
No.
Have you not seen Chris Tucker ending up in the chicken coop or whatever the hell it was doing PCP? Yeah, that's where most people probably heard of PCP for the first time.
History that they used natural forms of PCP before they went into battle, so they would just go all.
Did they really? Yeah.
That's always like that one theory that the Viking berserker they would do like PCP and other natural like
Muscimol was one of the
yeah.
mushrooms because that's one of the closest things to a benzo. Which, by the way, this is weird. Allegedly, right now in Carter County, you can go to a few gas stations and buy Amanita muscaria gummies. I'm not going to do it. Like, literally, I'm not going to do it because I want to eat Amanita muscaria from a gas station. But
If I was going to eat those, I would eat the actual mushroom, I think.
yeah, I don't trust that at all. But I've heard that's what the Vikings would use when they would do their berserking, was because it really acts kind of like a benzo. It like kills your kills a lot of your fear. And
Well, like most of the time, you don't really think of it as a benzo necessarily, but it kills in your inhibition, and because I can remember seeing people take on different. People take benzos and then like drive 100 miles an hour. No, I want to put the pizza away. It's in the oven.
I just had this reality where I could read Cliff's mind, and put away the pizza is code for, hey, if you'll get rid of these asses and end the show early, we'll have some fun tonight, honey.
The chair is in the corner. John has a long mustache. This is messages for all you patriots behind the front lines. Let's see. The Resi, don't do coke unless you want to work in D.C. Yeah, well, yeah, you could be in the White House there, couldn't you?
Never had it.
Resi also says she tried a clove cig when she was young and out drinking at a club in San Francisco. Put her in the side alley, puking her guts out with a spin like she was in the washer spin cycle. Yeah. Now, those things are pretty brutal. And I used to try to smoke those every now and then because when I was a teenager and...
Because you like to have a good time?
Well, no, it's because they were away from the rest of the cigarettes and I could swipe them without anybody knowing when I was like 13, and that was the only way I could get cigarettes at the time. So it was easy to get those.
Punch old men in the dicks and take them.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
I was a good kid.
Well, I got into a phase where I liked to smoke, and the only way to do that was to take them. So that was what I did. And when I was a young teenager, and my mother found out I was doing that kind of things and reprimanded me quite well.
Did she make you smoke a whole pack, Bob?
No, she never did that. She just made me feel like a piece of shit, which worked way better than making me, than making me smoke a whole bunch. Just making me feel like a piece of shit for stealing.
I could smoke them skinny arms.
My wife got me the third season for my birthday, and a today out of the Strickland propane mug.
Dale died.
Accessories.
Yeah.
There's just some news.
Yeah, that's right. Johnny Hardwick, Rusty Shackelford himself, did die. But let's get into the main topic of the night because we're about half hour in.
They put sand in his pockets when they buried him.
Pocket sand. Have you watched any of his channels? The Rusty Shackelford channel he does.
No.
He basically plays Dale Gribble reacting to current events under his YouTube channel with Rocket Sandy, and he plays with Rusty Shackelford, and he plays the electric piano like Dale does. And puts let's look at him real quick. Let's do that before we get into the USO story and discussion, because we're gonna do that the rest of the night.
Well, while he's pulling up Rusty Shackelford, I'm going to give you guys a synopsis about what he's about to talk about, so I don't keep interrupting him. The synopsis is, I think aliens are coming up from under us. Cliff kind of agrees, and he's going to show you a bunch of stuff to kind of prove that that maybe aliens might be coming from underneath us and not above. That's my theory.
This video disappeared. It's private. No wonder.
Yeah, I thought you erased it. So that's why I never watched it.
So go back and watch Wednesday's video where I just yacked to the camera and somebody asked me what to do when they got their cousin pregnant. And
I saw that part.
Yeah.
You ended it really quickly afterwards.
Well, I was on the way out when he said that because it was 30. I was only wanting to do 30 minutes, and I was trying to end the show, but I thought, well, I should have, said something about his mom or something,
You should have played into it and be like, "What you talking about?"
I said, "Well, boy,
I went out and found a total stranger to knock up. My gal is my cousin."
I was going to say something more to the effect of I could only, give you advice when it comes to impregnating your mom because that's the only place where I have any experience. But anyway, it ended up.
Or you could have doubled down and been like, "It's okay to be with your cousin. That's what butt sex is for," and then do that crocodile. What was that guy?
Well,
the turtle man noise. Well, wearing a big hat at night.
So anyway, that video's live. If you want to go check that out now, let's get off of my channel here so we can go see what we got for Rusty Shackelford, because I'm going to show you Rusty Shackelford with the piano.
We should set up a booth and do a proof, change my mind like Crowder somewhere around here.
Yeah.
But not like a change my mind. I don't want to do anything serious, obviously.
Just a man on the street kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, but I would want to do one like, do you think some of the meth heads up Biltmore are actually alien lizard people? Because there's no way that people make masks that good even in Hollywood.
No, I think they're meth heads.
Okay, well, see, now we have two sides of an argument, and you can change my mind.
Okay, here's Johnny Hardwick playing Rusty Shackelford.
What do you dive?
I forget. I heard right when it happened.
Kirk.
It's me, it's Rusty T, yes indeed.
Hell, I
I
thought
was
he had
just
more
out in
subscribers doing that.
Fredericksburg,
That's
got a
pretty
little
funny.
recharge here with this. Oh, it's so good. Okay, I have solved the pyramids. So, we'll have a little fun first. Here's a gyroscope. We're going to get this thing rolling, okay? Oh, first let me show you something with this gyroscope.
So
This is
what
a
he was up to.
neodymium magnet. It's pretty strong. It's got 300 pounds pull. It's 3 inches by 1 inch.
What if he really did
And
turn
this
into Dale
gyroscope
Gribble?
is non-magnetic.
What if it's not an
as you
act?
I hope it wasn't.
It will not stick in any. There's no part of it that's magnetic like
Because
these
his
steel
mug says pocket sand.
balls. Okay, we're gonna get to the
Pocket
pyramid
sand. Whoops.
thing here in just a second.
A sheet of Kim.
Yes, feel it. Feel the power building in this gyroscope. Okay,
I feel like this is really him.
going now.
He's doing a good job.
It wasn't an
Okay,
act.
check this out. Here's the has no attraction to the magnet, right? Right? What just happened?
That's a good question, Rusty. What did just happen?
It has no attraction to the magnet.
So that's what Johnny Hardwick was up to.
He was teaching us while doing his best gribble.
That's right. He did a gribble of a job. So,
While wearing a Neil Young shirt.
in a semi-related matter, though, we're going to talk about USOs tonight. So I got this.
Definitely didn't grovel over it though.
No, he didn't. I got this article from the U.S. Naval Institute. It's from August of last year.
Hold on, six pack. I'm sure you are too.
This photo or this drawing is called the Kraken Strikes. And you can see it striking the naval vessel. Well, why did they put that? USOs, not UFOs, have been the greatest threat to the Navy. To the date, there's been no documented damage to a plane caused by a UFO, but I'd venture to guess there has been some caused by a USO, unidentified, submerged, or submersible object.
USO, like a thing used to go do charity work for the.
Yeah, the United Service Organization or something like
Yeah,
that.
okay. I got to
Yeah, Bob Hope did all that. No. Yeah, they probably changed it to unidentified, I don't know, USP, unidentified submersible or submerged phenomenon.
Well, they're calling them A.
UAP,
Aerial
phenomenon,
So
unidentified.
submerged.
Yeah,
Oh well, we already blew up a ship with submersible to to prove that you couldn't have a ship under there. So what are we gonna call it? Submersible.
what did you? Well, my friend Lurch sent me this article the other day that the people who did the Titanic, the Titan sub that imploded, they're actually trying to get funding for a mission to take a crew of colonists to not Mars, but Venus, where the pressure is much higher, the temperatures are much higher, the atmosphere is
Okay,
much
I
more
did
caustic and
watch
toxic.
Some stuff that they said they could pull like a Cloud City type thing because the atmosphere is so thick you could actually have. an
Maybe
upper
they could do
atmosphere.
that, but I would not trust the guy who
Yeah,
could
they
not
kind
get the
of-
Titan sub underwater without imploding to
Well,
do it.
Well, that guy's
It's not that
floated on the
Well,
bottom of the ocean.
you don't have to worry about that.
yeah, well, the company.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Yeah, there's no way in the world I
so-
would trust that company with a life.
So why does that company
situation.
still have getting funding or seeking funding for anything? It should be defunct. I would think.
Yeah,
after
you
that.
got to crack a few eggs before you make it, man.
Shut up,
Come
Dustin.
on.
So they're going to Venus? Is Venus? Where's Venus in relation to Mars and Earth?
It's
Between us and the sun,
It's
between
like
us and the Mercury.
Sun, Mercury,
Venus.
Venus.
Yep.
Yes.
So they're going this direction.
Yeah.
Closer to the sun.
Mars.
It's actually
No way.
Venus is actually closer to us anyway.
Venus is closer. Is our sister
Well, because
planet.
it is hotter where it is closer, but it's just the atmosphere makes it so caustic.
It's had a runaway greenhouse effect.
There is land on it, yeah. They actually have landed things onto the planet, but they don't.
They get
survive
fried
enough.
within minutes.
Because it's just too hot.
Yeah.
It's
Hot
too
and
hot.
pressure.
It's just the atmosphere. There's a lot of like acidic kind of. Basically,
It's like
acid and stuff.
sulfuric acid and whole caustic, a lot of caustic compounds.
Man, I had this like wild thought that we'll just have to talk about after we get done with the show. But it's the idea that like the planets are sentient gods and we're just the bacteria taking care of them or whatever. But
Yeah, I mean, I've had that thought too before. That the heavenly bodies
why would
could
we?
be
Why would we not be
sentient.
able to perceive that, that these things are
Is that
somewhat
is
functional?
that why they're saying the Earth's getting hot? It's like, it's what happens when you get sick and you get a temperature to kill off the bacteria.
Good.
Oh,
It's even it's not even approaching some of the levels of heat that it had before when it had the greatest population and the mega flora and fauna of 65 million years ago. It was like,
you ever thought maybe Earth
Well, up
doesn't
until
want all this
65
shit growing
million
on it?
years ago, it was a lot.
a lot hotter than that even.
You ever thought maybe Earth doesn't want all this crap growing on it, and that it perpetually gave birth to creatures that would keep eating stuff, and now humans are the last line of
What's up, Spill?
bacteria that's going to clear out the immune system, and then we'll just naturally die off, and then Earth will be clean, spick and span, not a plant, not a nothing growing on it, and it can be dirt just like the rest of the planets.
Could do like George Carlin said and just shake us off like a dog shaking off fleas, but except the fleas don't actually leave when the dog does that, so it's not a good analogy,
You ever
George,
look at
but
the,
we get what you mean.
The 369 Tesla, if you do that with its Mars, no, it's Earth, and then what? And then Pluto.
Earth, Jupiter, Pluto.
So it'd be Earth, Jupiter, Pluto. I don't know, it's like brain vomit. Go ahead, sorry.
No, actually, Jupiter would be the 5th, I guess, and Saturn would be
Saturn.
the 7th.
It would be Saturn.
Saturn's the 7th, and then Uranus,
Is
Neptune,
it?
Pluto. Yeah. So it'd be 6 would be
Check that.
Jupiter.
It'd be Earth is 3. I thought Saturn was
Birds, yeah.
6.
Yeah. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus,
It is 6.
Neptune, Pluto.
So 369, it does fit in the
Or
Tesla.
Uranus, excuse me. Uranus.
Leave my booty
I
alone.
don't want to say that improperly, so
See, I can make a conspiracy.
Anus.
That's the reason they got rid of Pluto, is to make us not
Uranus.
think that the 369 has any implication in the universe because they got rid of the 9th planet anyway.
they could be. I feel like they had it out for Pluto. Even like, okay, if they decided Pluto was not a planet,
But Pluto is really pretty.
yeah, well, why not just make Ceres an official planet?
They
'Cause-
figured out that Pluto has its own magnetic
Yeah.
pole and stuff, so they're kind of wiggly.
And they also
around on it.
thought that it doesn't clear out its orbital path, which it does. They found that out later too. So all these geniuses with their, we have to reclassify Pluto because we're so much smarter than the guys who discovered it. You're fucking wrong. Just change it back.
They had to feel special because we're it's little like they are.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. They had to feel special. Like we have to. Oh, we have to be the guy who got something, who overturned some big thing, and so they found something that they could like
And then
just kind of manipulate
the
the
big lifted trucks.
Planet X. Did
Just
you mean
manipulate
Nibiru? Is that the same thing?
just say no to pole shifts. Yeah, they say we're due one right now.
We had
yeah.
one we had a couple months ago.
Yeah.
It changed quite a bit.
Magnetic pole shift, right?
Yeah, we had a full magnet, something that's been protected for a while, and the core started spinning in a different direction. And they also discovered with this movement, I guess they could be lying, I don't know, but using science, they discovered that there was another layer inside of the core that
It was
is
spinning the other way.
made of something different. But I don't remember what it was iron.
Interesting. I've missed that. That's something I'm gonna have to look in. Because the holds the solid iron core was thought to be the most dense, but it's not the most dense metal on the
They found
planet.
another one.
So you'd think
Yeah.
that there would be gold, platinum, iron. Lead, something more dense. You'd think would be within the lead core or the iron core, right?
Tungsten's more.
Yeah, even tungsten. Yeah.
And they found another interesting thing that was discovered, well, not discovered, I guess, casually announced. I think it was Roger Penrose was kind of the ones that started talking about it, physicist, that the Big Bang is no longer, within the physicist culture, the Big Bang is no longer thought of as the beginning of the universe. It's thought as the first event that they know of in a universe that has apparently been here forever, because they don't know how to track time in that moment. So I think that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of always the way that they looked at it. That was just, I don't know, more explaining it for, the popular culture to understand what it is.
But they don't know what that first, that first second.
Well, I mean,
existence.
I've been reading, scientific, popular science, not anything like
Propaganda.
Yeah, maybe. But popular science publications like Brian Greene and Stephen Hawking and stuff like that, they've thought for a long time that, well, what if the Big Bang was after there was a big expansion, then contraction, and then we're just in another cycle of expansion and contraction, and, they've got all kinds of different ideas where the Big Bang, might have been part of a cycle of some sort, not the actual beginning of history.
Black hole theory in our entire universe has gotten sucked into a black hole, and then it's created itself.
That's possible, too.
You've seen, there's another one that
Or, God's playing just a shitty version of The Sims.
Well, another one that I've heard was that the planets are like. You ever heard that the idea that the Saturn is creating an illusion? You ever heard that one? That goes into that one.
That's what the hexagon on the bottom of it's for, is to project the illusion to.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, the hexagon is actually a cube when you do it in 3D, and that would be the same nature with us. The theory is that this is not really reality. I don't know. That's a lot of stuff I'll never be able to prove.
Well, what about the idea, though, that the Earth is inhabited in the inside? Now, we've heard that going back a long time. We've heard the hollow Earth from Admiral Byrd, which we did a episode on that.
Honeycomb is always more.
Explain the honeycomb
version, though.
Well, honeycomb. It works with instead of hollow Earth where it's just hollow. Honeycomb makes more sense with how the tectonics work. Makes big pockets that work. It's a chamber.
It also goes
life and stuff
Tolkien.
So it's like we're in a giant hornet's nest, and are we supposed to be inside this, or are we supposed to be on the outside of it? Meanwhile, there's things going on inside. Or are we on the top layer? How's it supposed to work?
Well, we are surface dwellers, and there's the way with the theory goes, there are actually other races and other things that live inside these pockets, and there's Journey to the Center of the Earth. Yeah, sort of like how that story to the Journey to the Center of the Earth is. They find out that whole, because there's stuff with light emitting stuff that creates their own light, so they actually have full on ecosystems that have developed parallel but different to the surface.
Well, if you remember the story, the Admiral Byrd story, part of his visit within the Earth was that there was some sort of some sort of light source, that there was basically a sky under there, he said. And it wasn't the sun, but it's like there was light coming from everywhere but nowhere at the same time. So maybe the insects or whatever, there's so many light emitting or bioluminescent or something.
It'd be more on the flora.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe the flora, maybe the fauna, maybe the atmosphere itself, whatever kind of atmosphere the inner Earth might have, who knows?
What if it's the underside of the mycelium? And so they make bioluminescent sky at that point.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
I can weave a real tangly conspiracy.
For those who, if you're not sure what Tim's talking about, the mycelium is the body that you actually see under the ground that the mushrooms and the fungi come out of. Underground, they're actually connected by a larger mycella. Some of them are the
largest living creature on this planet out in the Pacific Northwest.
That's right. Yeah, some of them are miles and miles and miles, and
it's acres.
It's 2,400 square acres.
Yeah,
that's one living mycelium.
The advantages of a mycelium is if it's say for example you have some Chantilly mycelium go over here. If another patch of mycelium that happens to be Chantilly is grown over here, if they happen to meet in the middle, they'll just go, all right, let's hold hands, and they just become one big organism, and they keep pumping out Chantilly's, and that's how that thing is able to get to 200 acres or 2,000 acres or however big you said it was, is because it just keeps grabbing hands.
It's Bill says black cube, yellow cube. Heard of them? Not sure what they are though. And Alvin said he was wondering about that, considering there are so many who make such compelling arguments for a flat Earth. I don't find that they make compelling arguments for a flat Earth so much as they make compelling arguments that our current globe model's not exactly right. So. If you go to a different town, you can measure the curvature of the Earth, and it's often used for snipers use it, for pilots use it.
Effect is what they call it.
What's that?
The Borelius effect.
Yeah. So the curvature of the Earth is a real thing. You can measure it. You can calculate it. You can see it. But there are things that are not right about it, as far as what we're told about the nature of reality. And I think that a lot of flat Earth people take advantage of that. And and I don't mean that they're necessarily, nefarious or anything like that. I think a lot of people are just asking questions. As a matter of fact, I've taken up for the flat Earth people a lot because. Most of the people who criticize them as being idiots have never even questioned anything about where they live. They just
use them as like a low fruit scale.
Yeah, they were just told that the Earth was round, so you idiots must be flat. But no, I don't hate anybody for exploring that or anything like that.
So you're saying their arguments don't fall flat?
I say they do fall flat. Their arguments fall flat for me.
I like Crater Earth. I think that one's funner.
Well, but we're talking about the hollow Earth, or we're going to talk about the honeycomb Earth. Either way, either model would lead to the kind of phenomenon that we see with the unidentified submersible objects, or unidentified submerged objects, which the U.S. Naval Institute says has been a far greater threat to navies than UFOs.
Well, on a macro scale you could say for honeycomb, what about that place, what Asian country is it in, where it's that big cave where it has that small opening and there's like a whole ecosystem, a whole forest growing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Malaysia.
Is it Malaysia?
Yeah.
It's got that big, it looks like a giant crater, but then you look down inside of it and there's like trees and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It actually has
mist rises up out of it because of all the condensation or whatever it is.
There's a full ecosystem that's basically inside of the cave. So that's, it shows you it's plausible.
Well, you can take a terrarium, what do you call it? I forget what you call it, but you take like a sealed environment and you seal it off and bacteria will grow, like a tiny little forest will grow, little
if you
plants.
have it with water in it and have the plants, it'll actually rain sock.
Yeah.
How do you avoid flooding?
I don't guess you do. If it happens, it happens.
Well, I'm saying, let's just pretend we're up here, we're the dirty surface dwellers, and I'm gonna pretend this is like we're in. Well, hold on. There's a whole another monkey wrench just got thrown into. If we're in the Tolkien, is it Tolkien or Tolkien?
Tolkien.
If we're in the Tolkien environment, we're in Middle Earth. That means there's one more above us, right? So anyway, we're the dirty surface dwellers in our reality. So if we go down, water goes down too. Is my problem. So
how does it get back out? Does the heat evaporate it back out?
There's tons of water under the world.
The holes.
I was going to say there is water that's still trapped It's there's 3 times as much water in the.
So maybe there is its own water cycle within the Earth, and maybe there are jets that connect that to the larger Earth, and maybe the pressure from the inner Earth balances against the pressure from the sea. And these submersible craft can come right through these jets because there'd have to be some kind of exchange of pressures in order to keep everything in equilibrium. Rather than if that weren't the case, you'd have a big building of pressure and then a pop out somewhere. So it has to be some kind of.
I'm also assuming that the things that live under there have to have the same environment we have, I guess. And I
was kind of thinking the opposite. Why would you think they would have the same?
Well, no, I was doing that up until now. I'm trying to recreate similar. There has to be some sort of a similarity down below as up top, though, because I know there's fish that are blind and they never seen sunlight, and there's white pale lizards that never. Not everything could live like that. It has to have because when you get into these cave critters and stuff like that, the ability for them to survive is weird, and so Well, have you ever? I saw a.
That's a humpback anglerfish.
That thing's ugly as shit.
It's
How
recently,
deep is
recently
that?
discovered. It's pretty deep. The anglerfish live pretty low. And they they have that little thing up there that they use for a
Scorpion tail.
and they use it for a bait to get other fish to try to eat
It's
it.
bioluminescent and it'll
Yeah.
Have you seen
glow enough to flicker so they can draw food to them.
how there's a video I watched recently the last few weeks. It was like trying to explain why the deeper you go, the bigger things get, and it has to do with the mechanism of survival. That the bigger something is that it can actually go longer without food.
Mm-hmm.
And
Metabolic rates.
yeah, and it's talking about like how deep you can get before these things start turning into these just god awful looking creatures. Is it the same way going down deeper into the dirt as it is in the
Maybe,
water?
yeah,
Like
maybe.
the thing's gonna get bigger into the earth?
Just look at trimmers though. They have to eat all the time.
That's true. Damn
Well,
worms.
those were babies.
Oh, that's
Were
true.
they?
The graboid is the baby of the life cycle. It's the larvae stage.
Yeah, that's true.
Graboid. What's it
Then
turn
you-
into? I never made it past Trimmers 1.
Okay.
Turns into those walking things.
Start with the graboid, then you had the screechers.
They look like
with
chickens.
Didn't it turn into one that would fart to
An
blow
ass
its-
blaster.
Oh my god. Oh, I didn't dream
The
that.
ass blaster was the was like more of the adult state. Those are the ones that would clutch eggs to make more graboids.
Okay. Well, I stand corrected then.
I have watched every one of those films multiple times.
I couldn't get past the second one. The second one was was bad enough.
It's so stupid. I literally was like, I made that up.
No, you didn't. No, I've seen the other ones, but I haven't actually paid attention to them. When they made Burt Gum the main character, like I loved Burt as a supporting character, but when they made him the main character, it just didn't work so
It
much.
kind
for me.
of fit because it was already
no, I
turning into
liked it.
eight-legged freaks at that point
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Well, I guess the rumor was, well, I don't know if it's the rumor, but they were going to make a second film with Kevin Bacon in it, but the company, the production company, got the funding and wanted it done right then, and Kevin Bacon was making something else. Otherwise, he would have done it. So they probably would have had another less culty kind of movie because the Trimmers movies are really popular among the fans of them, the cult classic fans.
The original is like a perfectly paced film.
Yeah.
There is not a scene in that film that is filler,
No.
fluff. It's like everything progresses the story.
Is it just that those so many of those movies there in the early 90s though that were late 80s, early 90s that I first saw when I was getting out of my house and visiting friends and catching on to what my I think of Tremors. I think of Terminator 2. That one was about the same time. And what I was just thinking of one the other day. Now I can't think of Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man is not a good example because but that's around the same time I was watching those movies. But they all did have. I feel like they had really good pacing and really good storytelling. That's a lot of it missed now. And you get into newer movies and they have things like. If you take the newer Star Wars series for example,
in 5 minutes you have 72 jump cuts from the film, and the editing is just.
Yeah, no, I was going to use the newer Star Wars as an example. They do a lot of that too, but they basically it's like they are just needing to give the characters something to do because the story's not progressing. So it's like, oh, we have to go find this dagger here in this cantina, and we have to find that. It's like they're just making up things for the characters to do, not a naturally flowing story. And like you said, Tremors is one of those that there's no fluff, there's no filler. You see the worms, you knew what they're doing, you introduce the characters, and there the story goes, and it doesn't stop until you get to the end of it. And it's good stuff. But back to USOs.
If you look at that fish right there, doesn't that make you? That's the rule. Of life right there. That the majority
That's
of
the norm.
life on Earth is that kind of looking ugly. If you shrank it down, it would be a praying mantis, disgusting cockroach creature, and that really makes me feel weird about.
We're the exception. It feels like we don't belong here, doesn't it?
Well, whenever you look at a lot of those, the anglerfish, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't that big. But if you've ever seen how big they legitly are,
No.
a female one is the size of us. They're huge.
I didn't know they were that big.
Some of them can get freaking huge.
Oh, they were like the size
Especially
of
the
a
one that has the
basketball.
glowing ball
Yeah.
on the end of their face.
Dang, they could eat us.
But at least put a good hurting on you.
Eat your head.
Of course, if you're down that deep, you're probably gonna be dead anyway.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then
You're
there's
probably
the
not
one-
going
what is
after its
that,
glowing ball.
That one squid that has the real dangly arms. It's creepy looking. This kind of floats around.
The Man of
and
War?
drags its arm. No, it's a.
Oh, the Kraken here. Well, let's read about this right now. Actually, in 1978, the USS Stein was experiencing increased sonar noise, which was interfering with operations. Upon inspection, it was found that the protective no-foul rubber-like coating on the sonar dome had several cuts and scratches. Within the cuts were the remnants of claws. These claws were the type found in the suction cups of the tentacles of the giant squid. Alarmingly, the only specimens of claws that had been recovered by scientists were a fraction of the size of those recovered from the Stein. If it was a giant squid that attacked the destroyer escort, it was substantially larger than any cephalopod that had ever been documented. And old seafarers would probably claim that the Stein had somehow managed to escape the legendary Kraken. The Kraken.
Do you know there's a group of squids that travel in like packs of 30? I didn't know that. I thought that was all independent.
We got the
Like, cephalopods are very intelligent.
the Kraken attacking here. But there was another incident, and I thought that was going to get into that cephalopod that you were talking about there, Dustin.
No, you just have to look it up, and if they don't know what it is, it's. Look up the name of it.
Well, while you're looking at it, we did bring up the Man of War briefly, and I saw a video of one of those, and you would think they would be lumbering and slow, but they're actually quick, and that's scary. Like, their dang tentacles are like 30 feet long, and they move really fast.
And let's see, where'd that megamouth shark go? There we go. There's the megamouth shark.
I guess the whole point of us talking about this is, like, look at these things. Like, this is the kind of creature that this Earth really has. And so if you compare this big monster minus the mouth, doesn't a gray alien look more normal of a life form than we do?
Yeah, it seems less out of place.
Magna Pena squid.
Magna penis.
I'm not sure, but that's fine.
Let's see, let's look at Magna.
M-A-G-N-A.
Okay, there we go.
M-A-G-N-A. It's all one word.
There you go. Magna penis squid.
Yeah, like,
Oh, yeah.
The
I've
big
seen that
fin
video.
squid.
like
Like, that
those
thing's
things.
fast. Click that 8-minute one, and watch how fast his damn tentacles move. It's like it's
Imagine
supposed
if you
to
could
under the ocean
design
is supposed to be
products as
slow. That way,
quickly.
at least you can get away from
Yeah.
it. No, this thing's quick.
Deep sea oddities.
Like I said, the reason
From
why
the Gulf of
I
Mexico.
think it's interesting to keep talking about these creatures is if these things can live on this Earth, it's totally possible there's
There it
something
is.
else here that we don't know about.
and because it's legs, they dangle down and they'll scrape the floor, and whenever it takes it, it'll.
Yeah, but look how quick
Yeah.
this sucker's tentacles are when he starts getting fish and stuff.
Yeah. Look at him. It's like. If there's some, legit, you saw that and you're like, yeah, that's some Lovecraftian shit right there.
That's definitely, it looks like one of the great old ones. And the Kraken, I mean, is not really far-fetched when you think about some of those, the giant squids that they found. They found one over the last few years that was like way, way bigger than they ever
Watched the
thought.
document. I don't remember a lot
Can they
because I was
see this?
kind of falling
Yeah.
asleep. But I watched a documentary about the oarfish, which was one that they said was a sea monster back then that they didn't think exist, and
This
They're
is
weird.
7,000 feet.
And also, while we're talking about these crazy things, it's I guess you don't really think about it. You can't. Oh yeah, right there. That's when it starts going crazy. Look how fast that fucker is.
Looks like the fucking thing. And so you see the thing crashed on the Earth, but and I mentioned this on the live show Thursday night, that I don't know, I guess YouTube set it to private, or I accidentally did. I don't know why it was set to private, because y'all could watch the video because people were watching the chat. So I know it wasn't initially set to private, but I was talking about the movie, the X-Files movie from 1998, and on that, it goes right back to one of our favorite movies, The Thing, that I just mentioned, where there's a giant UFO buried under Antarctica, and the X-Files posits in their film that what if these beings, these grays, or these were like mean looking grays, but what if these aliens are not actually aliens at all? What if they were here before us and lived under the ground, lived under the earth, or maybe they receded to within the Earth to escape some cataclysm or whatever it may be, and they're just kind of hanging out under there, or are they frozen under there? But USOs,
or maybe they have found ways under there because every periodically, whenever the sun decides it wants to go all willy nilly and fry everything,
yeah,
and maybe that's why they.
Well,
because they're like, hey, we'll live under here so we don't get all our technology fried.
But is it possible though that they would just live under the ground anyway? Look at if the gray alien is real. Look at the way it looks. It doesn't look like us. It obviously couldn't survive on the surface.
Yeah, its skin seems like it would be too sensitive to sun.
It's like a lizard, and lizards don't stay in the sun. Well,
lizards do stay in the sun.
They stay out there and get some heat. So maybe it's a warm.
I don't think they look like lizards. They made me of like a. If you think of like a frog or something like that, like a frog.
More of an amphibian?
Yeah, a frog sits out in the sun all day. He's going to toast and, he's going to dehydrate. Okay,
so maybe it's not lizard people, it's amphibian people.
Maybe.
Well, they could go underwater. Yeah. There you go. Okay, we're onto something here.
Maybe. I mean, grays, they do remind me more of amphibians than lizards.
No, I think you're onto something. I didn't thought about that.
But
and the buoyancy of water would support their big heads.
Well,
yes, that's true. Because that's one of the things they said why grays don't belong here is because their heads are too big.
Amphibians can change color, shapeshifters. So when you get a bigger creature, if it could morph. That's Billy Corgan speaking, not me, folks.
What did he say?
When he was on, he said first of all, the world was a vampire.
Well, he was right about
Might
that.
be talking about gravity. Agree. I'm mad at gravity all the time. He brought up once kind of casually on Joe Rogan's program, to which he said he wasn't going to tell the whole story because he was going to put it in his own book, that he was approached by a man in like a backroom setting of like a late show or something, like a Hollywood scenario, and the man didn't turn into a, quote, lizard. He turned into a completely different person in front of him. And he said so he didn't know if lizard people were real, but he was certain there were people out there that had the ability to shapeshift because he saw it.
And again, I've mentioned this before. I think there are people who you could say can shapeshift, but I think if we look at it from take it back to the Bill Hicks, everything we see is just energy condensed, and it's vibration energy condensed into a vibrating mass, right? Because a certain frequency of the vibration of this energy causes it to have a certain mass, which causes it to condense into what appears to be a solid object. But it's all just energy, and it's all vibrating. So when you think about that, and you look at someone who is...
And then how the light reflects off of it is a vibration.
That's right. And it's all the way
vibration.
And it's all the way your brain perceives that information that you're seeing. So if the individual can, change the way that your brain perceives that information, they don't actually have to physically change. They just have to change your perception of what they are, which is totally possible if you think of somebody like a hypnotist or somebody like that.
Or they can literally change.
Or they could literally change. This is possible too.
Nanobots.
But the point is, they don't need to change to have the same effect as far as people go. But that would be.
Have you seen the video of Brian May doing a concert next to a hologram of Freddie Mercury though?
No, I have not.
So.
I saw Tupac hologram.
I'd imagine ever since Tupac it's gotten a little bit better though, because that's one of the older holograms at this point.
But the unidentified submerged objects in the articles, though, they were talking about sea monsters and giant sea life. But there's also lots of cases of what appear to be spacecraft or other craft that shoot out of the ocean or shoot around underneath the ocean. Now, could they be sea life? Sure. We've seen large sea life there that's fast that we don't understand. But there's all kinds of reports throughout the years. You go back to Christopher Columbus and the Nina and the Mina, not the Nina and the Mia. It's Christopher Columbus and his ships, the Santa Maria and the Pinta. They reported seeing balls of water, Foo Fighters, where they were called later in World War II, I think it was. They were called Foo Fighters, but basically they described the same thing, shooting up out of the water.
AKA demon worship.
Now, could it be, something like St. Elmo's fire, which is a natural phenomenon that now we understand, or is it, is it ball lightning, or is it an actual intelligent craft being piloted out of the ocean?
By Dave Grohl's witchcraft.
By Dave Grohl and Jack Black.
Dave Grohl kills a drummer every 10 years to stay alive.
I've heard that. No,
it's a cycle. He has to kill a singer. So if he wants to keep living, he has to kill a singer now.
Yeah, and then they go and he does like the what was that satanic movie? He was in the didn't he play the devil in the Pick of Destiny?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
He also played a demon-possessed individual in Studio 666.
yeah, so
And then his drummer died.
he's been telling us all along. And you know,
Courtney Love didn't kill Kurt Cobain. Dave Grohl did.
He's sacrificing.
well, Dave Grohl certainly gained more
I don't
from it.
believe it. I really do. If you look at the numbers stuff, you're like,
You look at what like who Dave Grohl was when Kurt Cobain was alive versus who he was after Kurt Cobain died, and everybody else around Kurt Cobain when he was alive versus he's the only one who became elevated.
I was like, Kirst Novoselic doesn't do it. He's been in like a couple films and does something every
the
once
bass
in a while.
player
but
from Nirvana says that
what I said.
Dave Grohl just won't have anything to do with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said he was really hurt because he'd never invited him to play bass with him. And it's like, can't he have anything to do with his bass playing? Because he's a good bass player, he's a rock bassist.
He was actually like probably the best musician of the band, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said he was always upset about that. They never invited him into anything. And you know why he didn't? Guilt. He couldn't stand to look at the one guy because he was supposed to kill the bassist too. No, he just had to kill the singer so he could become a singer. Kill a bass player, you become a bass player.
Right, nobody wants to become a bass
Nobody
player.
wants to be a bass player. You're safe, golf.
Okay. Well, but everyone needs a bass player.
That's true.
won't kill him, too.
That's true.
That's why you don't kill them.
No, I can't. I hurt Moose's feelings one time because I told him I didn't really care that much for a band without a bass player. And he said, well, man, that's what I do with the Fury and the Heat. And I said, well, that's the different for live. I usually listen to you guys live, and it is. But when I'm listening to music in my car, I gotta have a bass in it. I can't just have, guitar and drums and vocals, or two guitars and drums and vocals. Even if it's low-tuned guitars, I gotta have a bass in there. It's not right without it.
Well, because it's like the bass gives you your tonal center. It's like it keeps your brain on track of what the music's doing. If you just have like a bunch of treble stuff, you're like, I don't know what's going on.
The bass like stakes your root. It's your root, but it's like
It's your floor.
Yeah, there you go. It stabilizes everything. No, I was trying to find a picture of this spaceship that they think is under the Tampa Bay. That it's only trying to link me to the Discovery Channel show where they talk about it. So can't show you the photo. Cooper's Treasure is what it's called. He was chasing an English shipwreck, and he found what he thinks is an alien ship 300 feet below the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, allegedly, according to several whistleblowing individuals and lots of internet rumor talk, they found spaceships inside the Great Pyramids of Egypt. That's what was actually inside the pyramids. Was I think Bob Lazar said there was 9 of them total.
They'd have to be little skirmisher crafts or something.
They're like little
X-wing
skippers or something.
Yeah, they're not big. He said they're all, like, according to them, they're all small.
TIE
They're all
fighters.
meant for people who are about 4 feet tall. So the
Interesting.
inside of the ship and the ship itself looked like it was 3D printed, and that's why it's so hard to work on, because you can't take parts off of it.
Well, Edgar Casey's son, he would say that he always he never said what he was talking about, but he would thank Zahi Hawass, the president of the Egyptian Antiquities Council, who has basically controlled access to the pyramid for 40 years, something like that, since at least the late 80s, maybe the early 80s, maybe even before that. But Edgar Casey's son, he says, thank you to Dr. Hawass for protecting the secret that's down there, because people aren't ready for it, or it's not time for it, or whatever. His dad told him about it. Who knows what that means, but
We got chat.
what's up? Let's check the chat, because we got to talk about Hawaii for a little bit before we go too, because this is we're talking as above, so below. Well, we get the fires in Hawaii. A lot of people are saying a lot of different things about the Chinese space lasers that were coming from the satellites, the green lasers that were supposed to be to measure pollution and things like this. You got that it was a dry, windy day. You got a lot of the same things that were coming up around the Paradise campfire. Where people were saying, was this hit with directed energy weapons? Was it just like Gatlinburg and Dolly Parton? So
Speaking of direct energy weapons, Johnson City is the birthplace of Mountain Dew. DW.
have y'all I'm sure you've seen the AI drawing of the workers collecting Mountain Dew.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
DEW, direct energy weapons.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say that direct energy weapons are made in Johnson City.
Gotcha.
Use.
Let's see here. Rezzy says mud flutters. She says we probably don't understand because they intervened in our education and twisted our perception. He should form a band with Mick Mars, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss. Dave Bradley. Yeah, I'd be all right with that there, Rezzy.
They told us that the pyramids were used as tombs for the kings, and even as a kid I was like, that doesn't make any sense. You'd have like hundreds of big giant pyramids everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because each leader, lived 40 years of being a leader for the most part. 60 years.
Of them, it depends on what part, because there were some of.
Either way, you'd have a pyramid at least every 100 years for a while. For the time that they were doing that, and you just don't have that as far as like.
There'd be hundreds of them out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an example of them just deliberately misteaching us, or if that's just the education system of them going, the kids must just make it up. The kids will believe anything, because I kind of have to believe that's what it was.
Well, they did find, in some of the smaller pyramids, they did find bodies in those. So maybe, I've always been...
but it's the workers.
Well, I've always had the idea that they imitated the Great Pyramids with some of these, primitive pyramids that we saw that were... less smooth and less calculated and not designed as well. And they did have bodies in them, but I feel like maybe they were imitating the older design of the pyramid. That was, they say that these smaller primitive pyramids came first, but they base the evidence that the pyramids were built in 2500 BC is based on very little. That's down to I think it's a quarry mark is their main thing that they base everything on.
Have you looked at the what is it called? Orion's Belt movement.
Yeah.
Like where you can actually map out using Orion's Belt's location for different points. You can find the same set of 3 pyramids. I want to say the same set of 3 pyramids is in 3 different locations.
Yeah.
And the earliest one, which they found them all the way out.
And it's all 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, they found them way out in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of these deserts, Jordan and places.
Well,
and they start losing their pyramid shape and start getting almost like this bulgy, more of a rounder looking pyramid shape to them. So I wonder if it was just different style or if it was an evolution.
Well, and they're all over the U.S. too, but we call them mounds and mound builders, but it was really pyramids too. And then that makes me wonder, were pyramids a doorway to the underworld? Is that the doorway to the underworld? Is that how the ships used to get out? Did they use gateways through?
There were docks.
Yeah, there you go, docks. That's
Docks,
a good.
ancient spaceports.
Lords of the underworld. Darkness fills my heart with pain. Let's see. Drezzy says Bimini Road, the lost city of Atlantis, Bahama. Yeah, we're going to do an Atlantis show soon. We've done a little bit on Atlantis, but I've read a lot about Atlantis since we have done a show on that.
I think it was a city. I think it was a big civilization called Atlantis.
Yeah, I think it was a worldwide civilization that had a capital city in the Atlantic Ocean, and that was probably called Atlantis.
There's a lot of people out there that would call that Tartaria, by the way.
Okay, see, I don't know much about that. I read I don't read a lot of the internet lore. I've read books on it, so none of that talks about Tartaria or Lemuria.
If you look at the map,
Lemuria is in what now?
If you look at ancient maps, you'll find big giant pieces of land. And this isn't me. This is me speaking for mud flooders and people like that. If you look at ancient maps, there's this word that keeps reappearing on certain spots, and it's Tartarian or Tartaria. Mm-hmm. Now, according to map people, which they're probably right, that's just a word for wilderness and unexplored and stuff. Mm-hmm. But there is this weird thing that you'll notice with a lot of these things that have that in there is a lot of times it has a giant city built there, though. A lot of times it's not wilderness, it's like this giant looking city thing built there instead. And so a lot of people speculate that at one point in time there was an empire that was called Tartarian, and they lost a giant war, and the winners, us, erased their asses. And that's the theory behind it.
And we erased ourselves too, apparently.
Well, yeah, that's a part of it, to erase the history so we won't know that we had all this ancient tech and stuff, because the theory, once again, if you look at old Soviet buildings, and if you go to some of these buildings that are still standing that have these big weird, they call it Antiquitech, but it has these weird looking spires that hang off the top of the churches that don't look like crosses. They look like giant Vash the Stampede style antennas. And they think it goes into pyramid resonant catching energy. And Tesla technology is essentially what they're going into. And the idea was the empire was like a big giant communist. So I don't want to use the word communist thing, but everything was free because they knew how to
Communally owned property.
They knew how to harness everything.
Yeah.
And then there's my theory that we're in the Millennial Kingdom and that we're in hell right now.
Well, Alvin says Tartaria was in Western Asia and Lemuria was a large island in
Uranus, Satan.
in the Pacific. Well, I mean, that's possible.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
You think about, that was really, it's been longer than 1,000 years. Satan's been in charge for a lot longer than that.
What if they changed the history? You've only been along for
I guess that's true, yeah.
a couple decades.
Yeah, I could
What
have.
if the reign of the empire started 800 years ago?
Yeah, I guess it could have started at the Dark Age, but I feel like it would have started right after Christ if that was.
If that's when they say it happened.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what do you think started these Hawaiian fires? Do you think it was just a
volcano and a lot
think
of
it was
wind?
just like a
Let's speculate.
cow kicking over a lantern, or
Probably a big volcano and then some wind on some dry coconut shrub, but we can speculate.
isn't that how they say the Chicago fire started? A cow kicking over the lantern.
Did they really?
I don't know if that's really how it happened, but I'm pretty sure that's what they said. Let's see. I'm gonna double check myself there though. Chicago fire.
What started ancient Rome when allegedly Nero played the harp or whatever?
I thought it was
Or was
it was it being attacked and being burned down. I don't know. I
thought one of the ancient fires of Rome was because they built the city too on top of itself and it was all wood and then like it just kind of caught fire.
Yeah, Mrs. O'Leary's cow. Yeah, so the most popular and enduring legend maintains that the fire began in the O'Leary barn as Mrs. O'Leary was milking her cow and it kicked over a lantern or an oil lamp, setting fire to the barn.
Doesn't that sound fake?
Yes.
Barn's right in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's the legend. What actually started the Chicago fire? They don't really know. But it started on the southwest of Chicago and spread north and went through
Like a
into the
bologna
business.
factory or something.
Probably.
There's enough grease in there to do that.
I want a bologna sandwich now.
No.
No.
Bologna is a thing I don't do.
I like
Yeah, I
a
don't do
sandwich
bologna
every now and
either.
then. Two sauces, no cheese, a little bit of mayonnaise. I was raised.
If you do a fried bologna and you just char the shit out of it and make it in little triangles and not a whole piece, yeah, I might eat a little bit of it, but you got to cut it so it doesn't sombrero.
I like the sombrero.
No, because it's got to be charred all the way across both sides of it, or I can't eat it.
I used to fry it myself when I was a kid. Because plop, 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 it would just go and stick to the pan. You fry it up and it turn a little Mexican hat and I'd eat it.
Oh goodness. Where was I at? Oh yeah. So a lot of people, you were talking about the Mountain Dew and the directed energy weapons. A lot of people are saying those are being used in Hawaii. Is it connected to Obama? His chef just died on his property, mysteriously drowned while paddleboarding over 6 feet tall in 8 feet of water. And I don't know. But it was weird because they were saying that they were saying, oh, the Obamas weren't there, and it turned out, well, the Obamas were there. So why did they lie about the Obamas being there? Why did they say that they weren't there? I don't know. A lot of people are saying that's suspicious. And then was he about to write a tell-all? And then Hawaii burns down where Obama's from.
It's Obama from?
I don't know. That's where they say he was born. He was his half brother Malik Obama says he was born in Kenya. But
Which wouldn't matter. His mom's U.S. citizen.
yeah, I know. That's what I never understood.
Arguing that, yeah, it's like his mom is a legal U.S. citizen. It doesn't matter. He could have been born on the moon.
But then they really did release a fake birth certificate, and I thought that was like the craziest thing, because they took this birth certificate that there was all this stuff about whether Obama's birth certificate was out there or not, right? And those sons of bitches went out there and had the balls to release a literally fake document that you could take apart in Photoshop and see it's multiple levels put together. And it's like, anybody, but it's kind of like the funny thing is that makes the people who understand Photoshop and who are already dug into this theory go, well, look, it's a fucking fake. Look, I can take it apart. And everybody else is saying, oh, they released the birth certificate. What are you say? It's oh yeah, I know. I think it's brilliantly played. But why would they do that? Why would they not just release his real birth certificate? Like I said, his mom's an American citizen, so he would be even if he was born in Kenya, he would be an American citizen. For
the same reason that on a certain date, I won't mention because I have no idea if you two will strike us or not. You didn't need FBI agents at the Capitol.
Yeah, that's
but you
true.
put them there just so we won't stop talking about it.
Yep.
I think that's the name of the game. Is if we keep talking about stuff that really doesn't matter that much, we'll never get to the meat of it. Which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I'm fine with never actually talking about real problems because I'm kind of a crazy person that doesn't feel like he can enact any change. But I do think that this the internet and everything is just a modern day coliseum. Dynamite,
says the Rizzy. And she says Epstein, Ghislaine, there's a lot of names down in the Bahamas. NDA signed to go down there. Cousteau, big names obsessed in that highly secretive spot. And you know, there's also y'all seen the Oliver Anthony song that's been blowing up, the Richmond, north of Richmond. Have y'all seen that? Okay, it's really gotten really big over in there. You got people on the left talking about, oh, it's a plant, and other people say, oh, there's no way it could be this viral. But
that's why I didn't listen to it because I think everything's a plant because I'm crazy.
Yeah, and it could be.
Probably just a guy on TikTok, but.
It's a guy who uploaded a video from Radio West Virginia's on Radio West Virginia's page. They went out to his farm or wherever he's sitting around with a bunch of old cars and recorded him, just him and a guitar, him and a dobro with this microphone, and he's singing the car. But he talks about how, you know, in the song he says they don't care about miners. All they care about it, you know, talking about coal miners. And he says they care about miners down on the island, you know, in the Caribbean. But that song's making the rounds if you hadn't heard it. Richmond, north of Richmond by Oliver Anthony. It's a pretty good song. He actually looks like my friend Aaron Armageddon. The Resi says, Prepper's making spam great again. Shoo. No, I would have to be, it's going to have to be a disaster. It's going to have to be something really bad before I eat spam.
Yeah, I like bologna, but spam's taking it too far. Now, I did eat treat meat as a kid, which was the same thing.
Now, I had spam and treat meat as a kid, and I ate bologna as a kid, and I didn't care for it, but it was okay. I could eat it, but now I don't have to eat it, so I'm not going to.
I like bologna, then. I know it's just thick bologna.
The Resi says his half-sister in Indonesia said her brother has a scar and limp and don't know who that Obama fella is, and she died. Yeah, and, you know, it's kind of similar to that. You know, the famous Clinton body count. You know, a lot of people who tend to say things like Joan Rivers died shortly afterwards, and a lot of people who start talking trash about these people who release secrets on them don't last too long. But Malik Obama is still out there posting his ass off on Twitter, so.
I can tell you a funny connection that was made. And do you know who the possum lady is by any chance?
Don't think so, no.
Not you, possum lady?
Nope, I don't.
You gotta pull up possum. She's very famous. Once you see it, I'm pretty sure you'll go, oh, I know her because she's been in like 150
memes. Is that the one where she's older and she says, you know, oh, it has a hoary face, but not like hoary, but not like hoary?
Yeah, she uses like Victorian language. She
has a hoary face.
Right. The possum lady here. We're gonna watch her for a second because I promise I'm going somewhere.
Oh, you want to watch her? Okay.
No, you can just show her. You don't have to. I'm just giving you some context here. This is a lady that's been on YouTube for as long as YouTube's been around. She's just like, if you've been on YouTube on the level I've been on, then you know this is basically a staple of YouTube. But we let her go. I say we, like I have any control or power. Everybody on the internet just kind of let her go because she was quote unquote wholesome, right? It's Dylan Mulvaney's mom. And it turned out he identified as a possum before he identified as a female. You can actually find a video.
That does look like Dylan Mulvaney.
It does, doesn't it? She used to bring him on the show and he would dress up as a possum because her son identified as a possum.
Wow.
And you can make with that information what you would like. I just like to connect the dots of the internet because it's all connected.
How about that? Yes, it sure is. Well, listen, it's 11:30, so we're going to get off here tonight. And I'm sorry we shot the shit a little bit more than we actually talked about. Yeah, that's right. But
Mind of Madness.
We didn't talk about Submerged stuff as much as I'd hoped. I was going to give you some examples, but it's getting late now, and you can look them up if you're really interested. We're here to talk about it, not provide you the examples or do the research for you. Y'all can do that. You're an astute crowd. That's why you're here.
500 subs.
Yeah.
Golf's going to show his nips. Get us to 1,100. We'll give you full dick access. I'm whoring him out.
Well, listen.
On Patreon.
Today's my birthday. I share a birthday with Annie Oakley.
Well, happy birthday.
And we're going to watch a video of Annie Oakley from 1894. Of course, there's no sound, but here she goes, shooting glass balls.
No
From the
sound.
Library of Congress in
No, not
Washington,
1994.
D.C.
Low rent shit.
There she is.
Is she real?
Well, that lady right there is real.
She's also 6 feet away from the board. I
Yeah,
could do that.
yeah, you could. But
I'm also a
I doubt you could do that, though.
I could be the guy that throws them straight up.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to get shot.
yeah. That's pretty impressive, though, for her to be
This has
shooting
been a
balls on the
presentation
fly,
of the
especially
Library of Congress.
you know,
lever.
Visit
working the lever each time,
LLC.com.
and
Well, I have to talk shit even about famous people.
My name is Gabriela De La Cruz.
I do it with the
am
best of
Associate
intentions,
Director for
so.
Fox Sports. Oh, this is
but
broadcast.
it's also Alfred Hitchcock's birthday today.
Is it?
Yep. He was born in 1899.
Oh.
And so I was talking about maybe talking because we were going to do the show with Moose. And the thing about the show with Moose is I don't write a show because if Moose is here, there's no reason to write the show. The show is going to go in the direction that Moose takes it. And
Straight to the birds, man.
yeah, and if if you don't let that happen, you're just fighting the show. You're working against yourself. So, yeah, well, you could try to say, "Oh, I'm the host. I have to rein in Moose and keep him on track." But no, that's not that's not what we're about here.
She's back.
We'd be doing a disservice to Moose and to ourselves and to the show and to our audience to do anything other than just hang on. So I did not write a show for today, but I was gonna, like, when I found out Moose was not gonna make it, I was gonna think about doing Alfred Hitchcock stuff because we got the Birds, we got North by Northwest, we got Psycho, a lot of things. You know, there's a lot of stuff we could hit in Psycho. Do it?
You ever seen Broke?
No, I haven't.
Synopsis is, which I think this is really similar to modern movies. It's about rich upper class kids at this Ivy League school that decide to murder one of their friends just for the experience of life, and then they have a dinner party where he's. And this is all information that's brought at the very beginning of it. Like, so I'm not spoiling it for you because it's more about the interactions of the movie after it. The dead kid that they've killed is in like a table in the middle of this room where everybody's having a dinner party around it because they thought that would be exciting to have all these people have a dinner party around this dead guy. And it's got who's the guy that's in Rear Window?
I don't
Jim.
remember.
Sounds like Huckleberry Hound when he talks. What's that guy's name?
Pat Buttram.
No.
I don't
He's in the Christmas movie What a Wonderful Life.
Oh, I don't know the name.
Jimmy Stewart. There you go.
Okay.
Jimmy Stewart's in it. There you go. The guy that kind of talks like that.
Oh yeah, okay.
I've been in a lot of movies, see?
Yeah, I got you.
I had a manager named Jim Bob at Winn-Dixie. He had talked just like him. R.I.P.
Well, let's see. Thank you, Rezzy. She says, "Shut up, possums are marsupials."
I'm not dissing the possum. I'm not dissing the possum lady. I'm just merely making the connection that the possum lady is related to Dylan
The
Mulvaney.
possum lady is a plant.
And that Dylan Mulvaney used to identify as a possum. So
He'll pretty much identify anything as
just
it
saying.
needs to, I would say.
He's like, damn it, no free beer yet?
Yeah.
Possum didn't work. Next, sea lion. He just worked his way up the animal crackers and finally got
Finally got the lady.
finally got to obnoxious woman.
You know, and that's the worst thing. It's like it's not that you're dressing as a lady. It's that you are acting like the most obnoxious kind of woman that is imaginable. So that's why nobody likes you.
Have you seen the John Mulaney skit about that?
No.
John Mulaney, well, he's pretty woke. He's always been woke, but he has some jokes about transvestites because he was like, he's been theater. He's like, I've been around transvestites my whole life. He was like, I get it. I think it's fun. He was like, I don't have a problem with you wanting to be a gal, but why is it always the same kind of gal?
Yeah.
It's like it's always a big brassy woman with a big personality and a beehive hairdo.
Yep. Yep. That if you go to a drag show, that's the ones that you always see. But
that's more drag, though. I will speak on this, and I have no problem because I'm outside of it, so I can't speak on it. I don't consider drag and trans the same thing.
That's
Those
true.
are men dressing up as drag, and now that they've conflated drag and trans into the same
Well,
issue,
that's the
I think
thing,
it's
though,
confusion.
like,
It's not the same thing.
I don't see transsexuals dressing like drag queens for the most part. I mean,
Some do, but it seems like it's a different mindset where you like guys who like to quote do drag typically don't wear drag out all the time. It's
Right.
just when they're performing. They even have a fake name, and it's all over the top.
Right.
So I haven't really found a way to put that into words yet about why that's just a bad argument to even be arguing drag with the LGBT community, because it wasn't really always a part of it. It was more, vaudeville or something.
Well, I could argue the finer points of that discussion, but we're going to call it tonight for tonight. And we will see you on Thursday night. Tim and I are going to get into the news and current events.
Aliens live below us.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Hey, we'll see you.
The eyes above, so below. They're on both sides of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got a big alien pancake.
Young up there.
And then that means that they are below and above the aliens, too. That we are above and below the aliens as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Grays and angels all the way up and down.
That's right. In between the layers of turtles. We'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe.
Dylan is an agent.
Oh, yeah.
Who, Bob?
No permanent surgery or fillers. Yeah, he's one of those shapeshifters that we were talking about. Hey, we'll see you later. Thanks for joining us, Rezzy. Thanks for joining us, Spill. Thank you for joining us, Alvin, Anna, everybody out there. Join the cigarette cult. Jump in the chat. Get those geese. We'll see you next time. What?
She said Dylan is a plant. I was like, Bob?
No party is complete without the ice plant. No, this cocktail party. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Good night.